Welcome back to Stu Structures. I am Mark Stewart, and we're here to continue the build on the BELINGTON Ice and Bottling Company, so stay tuned. So we are back to continue working on this building. Like I said in the last video, we have all those platforms around the building to do and the roofs that go over those. I may start just building some of the small wooden crates and stuff that the bottles would have been in on the platforms and stuff like that. You know, there's a lot of various materials that were on the rear platform. So, you know, I'm just going to jump into this and we'll see how far we can get in this video. I'm not sure if I'm going to quite finish the building this week. It may take me 2 weeks. My time is easing up a little in my personal life, but I've still got a lot going on, so we'll see how far we can get this week. Let's jump into this. Now, where we left off last week was that we needed to start working on these platforms and roofs. You know, we have this one in the back, and then there's one on the opposite corner of this building as well. And you know, you can see there's a separation between this building A and the back building. So we're going to start putting marks on the walls for where the top of the roof line will be and where all the supports need to be glued to the wall. Now I use 1x6 for a header piece on this, and then 2x6s to come down. And you know, it's just from the standard wood company that I do get all my wood from. And I go ahead and mount all those brackets to the wall that glue directly to the wall. Now I'm using this same cardboard for the roof that I used on the rest of the building. So I go ahead and cut the roof for this part of the building because it's, you know, it's separate from the other roofs. And then for rafters underneath, I just have a whole bunch of this 3x3 material. So I'm just going to go ahead and use some of this for the rafters underneath the roof. So I mark the roof, I use my chopper, and go ahead and cut all of them to length and come back and glue them 2 foot on center underneath the roof, and all the rafters are in place. Now I do leave them off of one edge a little bit so that this can glue up over that header board on the building that I glued. And then, you know, there's a long rafter that glues across all those rafters that are on there as a support for the rafters. And then all these main beams come out from the building where I glued those supports on the side of the building. Now I made these a little short, so I came back here and just added a little bit of length to each one of those for the 45-degree angle board that goes in there. And then I cut the 4 boards that go in there to support the main beams and come back and glue those in. And then, you know, that's basically all the wood in place to support the roof, and the roof, you know, done at this point, other than the tar paper that goes on top. So then I come back and just glue all that in place and put a piece of small flashing up against the wall, and you know, come back and put black paint on it, and I painted the underside, the rest of it white, and that's that roof section done on building A. Now I did come back before I went on with any other roofs. I should have done this other lettering on this building before I put the buildings together. This was a little hard to come back and letter, but I did come back and put that on. And then we need to start with the roof on the back platform that wraps this corner to the whole back side. So I come through and make my marks on the wood the same as I did on that building A, and I cut both the building roofs and put rafters on them just like I did that other building. And you know, the one small side and one long side goes clear across the back side of the building. And then I add this support on there for all the rafters like I did in the other one. Come back and put these beams in place. It's just the same process that I did on the other roof, and I'm just following through with this on, you know, this roof just the same as I did the others. And you know, once I put the 45 degrees in, I did add one short one in where the door was at. I misjudged what I was doing. But once I get both those roofs with the rafters on them and the support board underneath, I go ahead and glue those in place. Now, because one roof is a little shorter than the back roof, I had to make this odd corner on the roofs where they meet in a corner. But the back wall, I just, I'm going through and doing the same exact process that I did on the other two roofs that I put together. The support board, the 45-degree board, gluing them into place, and then coming back with some white paint and just gluing all that, or painting all that white. And that's the whole underside of this entire building as you go around the corner and down the whole back side of the building. And that whole roof is in place. Now the next thing we need to do is come through and work on roofing paper on this as well. And I had pre-drawn the lines on there before I glued the roofs to the building just to make that easier. But I come back and just put all the roofing paper on there and the flashing, and that's pretty much this part of the roof done. Now you can see the platforms on this. I'm not sure if it's brick, and I'm going to use this scrap brick pieces from other buildings that I've built to cut all these little pieces out of. And I'm going to put concrete piers in between them. And I'm going to use this wood here for the decking material that goes on top of everything. And then there's a small board that goes underneath of that supports the decking, and that's what I'm going to use this wood here for. It's just a real small 4x4 wood, which you won't see the end, so it really won't make a difference that it's a large piece of wood. And then these slightly larger 4x4s for all the concrete piers in between the concrete panels. And I go ahead and cut all the decking. There's a lot of decking that wraps this whole corner around and under building A, building C, to the back of building B. And I just go ahead and start cutting all these pieces. This is for building A and building C here, and I just glue those 4x4s underneath the bottoms of it as long supports, and that's basically the deck put together. And then, working on the support for that, I just cut all these bricks to the size to give it the right height to meet up under the doors or on that side of the building. I use a level to give me a good straight edge, so I know when I'm gluing all these together it's nice and straight. And I start working on the decking for the back side of the building as well, and go ahead and scribe boards into it just like I did all the others and paint them. And this is just with the top of it glued down to the brick and the concrete support posts. And it looks good. I've still got to paint the concrete post and the brick, but it's going to look nice when it's set up into the building, and it'll be to do exactly what I want. Now the decks that are on the front part of the building, I'm going to they're exposed underneath of them. So I went out underneath the building that I live in the woods and just grabbed up some dirt and ran it through a couple of sieves to get the big stuff out of it. This still has some slightly larger stuff than I would like, and I put some paint down on the board, and then I just put this material on top of that, the finest stuff. And then it didn't stick real well, so I had to come back and just put a little bit more on there and use a spray bottle with some white glue and get that in there. But the front deck, I'm just making this the same way as I did the other decks. And I cut the pieces and figured out my lengths, came back and scribed all the boards into the top side of it, and then came back and glued the 4x4s underneath of it, and put some paint on it, and we have our deck for the front section all ready to go as well. So we're coming along really good with this. Now the roof on the front, I'm going to go ahead and get a start on that as well. So I came back and marked where the uprights and where the band board will go on these roofs as well, and I went ahead and got those glued into place. And things are just starting to run real slim on time here, so I'm just having to call it an end for now. But I did get the two panels for the roof cut. I got the lines drawn on it for the roofing paper, and the lines drawn underneath for where the rafters will go. And I did go ahead and get the time real quickly before I started putting this video together to go ahead and cut the rafters. But we'll have to start gluing these in and getting this all worked on in the next video put together next week. Just didn't end up with the time I wanted to get this done this week. So there you have this week's segment of Stu Structures. I didn't get anywhere near as much done this week as I wanted to. I had some stuff come up in the week, and the last day I haven't felt very good at all and really didn't accomplish anything. So in any case, we've got at least one more week on this build coming up. And you know, I want to thank you for coming back and sharing this time with me, and you know, watching this build as it progresses. It's just about accomplished. You know, the main structure's done. You know, those roofs and the platforms really weren't bad. The brick and stuff took a little bit of more time to do than I thought they were going to, and really the roofs, you know, I hadn't taken into account just how long the roofs were and all the parts that went into making those. I just hadn't really thought about it, you know, and I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be quick, but it took a little more time than I thought it was going to. So in any case, like and share these videos with people you know in the hobby out there. A lot of people would like to know how to scratch build structures for their model layout, buildings that they can't get in kit form. And you know, as you go through all these different builds with me, I cover a lot of different aspects and how-tos on how to do different things, and hopefully you'll learn how to do all the things you need to do to scratch build some structures for your model layout. In any case, you know, it's all about having fun. Grab some materials and scratch build something, hone your skills, and before long you'll be building buildings that you never, you know, had thought possible. And you know, it's just all about having fun. Like I said, happy model railroading.